The fastest way to make a narcissist fear you forever is not through yelling, confrontation, or trying to expose them publicly. It is by mastering the art of indifference. Narcissists thrive on attention, positive or negative. They feed off admiration, arguments, pity, or any emotional reaction that confirms they have influence over you. Once you learn to cut off this supply and demonstrate that they no longer affect your thoughts, emotions, or decisions, they begin to panic. Nothing is more terrifying to a narcissist than losing control over someone they believed would always dance to their manipulative tune. Narcissists build their power around one key mechanism: psychological control. They manipulate, gaslight, and distort reality to make their target feel dependent, confused, or desperate for validation. Their tactics work because most people are conditioned to defend themselves, prove their worth, or try to fix the relationship. These reactions give the narcissist energy, feeding their sense of superiority. But when you stop engaging and refuse to play the game, the narcissist is left powerless. Indifference is more than just ignoring someone. It is cultivating an internal strength where their insults, guilt trips, or silent treatments have no impact on your self-worth. When a narcissist tries to provoke you and you respond with calm detachment or no response at all, they experience what psychologists call narcissistic injury. This occurs when their inflated self-image is punctured by the realization that they are not as powerful as they believed. Unlike anger, which they can feed on, indifference feels like a wall they cannot penetrate. It is the one reaction they cannot control, and therefore it terrifies them. Consider the dynamics of fear in a narcissistic relationship. What they fear most is exposure, loss of control, and irrelevance. They rely heavily on their ability to manipulate emotions. If they scream and you cry, they win. If they belittle you and you argue, they win. If they withhold affection and you beg, they win. But if they launch one of their typical tactics and you simply continue with your life unaffected, they lose. Over time, they come to understand that you are no longer a viable source of supply. That realization plants a deep fear that they will be abandoned or forgotten, the very outcomes they dread. The key to making this strategy work is consistency. Narcissists will test boundaries repeatedly. The moment they sense you are serious about withdrawing attention, they may escalate. They might suddenly shower you with affection, make false promises, or create drama to pull you back into the cycle. They rely on past patterns, assuming you will respond as you always have. But when you break the cycle permanently, you rewire the dynamic. They begin to associate you with rejection, which is deeply threatening to their ego. One powerful example of this comes from people who have gone no contact. For many survivors of narcissistic relationships, blocking the narcissist on every platform, cutting off communication, and refusing to react to provocations is the ultimate act of indifference. The narcissist is left in a state of disbelief, obsessively trying to figure out why their usual tactics no longer work. Over time, the silence speaks louder than any words. The narcissist realizes they no longer inspire fear, loyalty, or devotion. Instead, they are met with a void. That void is unbearable to them because it confirms they are not as important as they demand to be. But not everyone can go fully no contact, especially if the narcissist is a family member, coworker, or co-parent. In those cases, gray rocking is the next best strategy. Gray rocking involves making yourself as uninteresting and emotionally unavailable as possible. Conversations are kept short, responses are neutral, and you offer no details about your personal life. When a narcissist tries to bait you into conflict or drama, you give bland, unreactive replies. Over time, they grow frustrated because they cannot extract emotional fuel from you. This tactic turns the tables because instead of you fearing their manipulation, they begin to fear your immunity to it. Another layer of making a narcissist fear you lies in rebuilding your self-confidence. Narcissists prey on insecurity. They target weaknesses, amplify self-doubt, and convince you that you need them. When you reclaim your confidence and begin to live unapologetically, the narcissist sees that they have lost their grip. If you succeed without them, enjoy friendships, or express happiness they cannot control, it shatters the illusion of their superiority. Narcissists fear being left behind, irrelevant, or replaced. By thriving in your independence, you embody everything they fear most. It is also important to understand why this method is so effective long term. Narcissists are deeply insecure beneath their mask of arrogance. They are terrified of abandonment and rejection. Indifference gives them both at once. It rejects their attempts to control, and it signals that you can live without them. Unlike open conflict, which feeds their need for engagement, indifference mirrors their worst nightmare: being insignificant. They may try to replace you with new sources of supply, but deep down, they carry the sting of having lost control over you. That sting does not fade easily. Critically, indifference should not be confused with pretending. Pretending to be indifferent while secretly obsessing over them will eventually reveal cracks. True indifference requires inner work, healing from trauma, setting firm boundaries, and detaching your self-worth from their approval. Therapy, support groups, and self-reflection all play a role in developing this resilience. Once you reach a place where their opinion no longer defines you, they lose the ability to wound you. Another underestimated aspect of making a narcissist fear you is exposing their tactics calmly and without emotion. If you openly name their behavior, that's gaslighting, or that's manipulation, without reacting emotionally, you strip them of their power. They thrive on confusion. Clarity terrifies them. However, this strategy should be used with caution, as some narcissists react aggressively when confronted. The safest and most sustainable strategy remains withdrawing emotional energy altogether. Ultimately, the fastest way to make a narcissist fear you forever is to live as though they do not exist. Continue building your life, pursue goals, and surround yourself with supportive people. Every time you choose joy over drama, peace over conflict, and silence over reaction, you reclaim power. The narcissist, once convinced of their dominance, is left scrambling to make sense of their irrelevance. They may lash out, but the more you stand firm, the more they learn that their reign over your emotions is over. It is worth noting that making a narcissist fear you should never be about revenge. Revenge keeps you tethered to them emotionally, which is exactly what they want. The goal is freedom. Freedom from manipulation, fear, and control. Fear is a byproduct of that freedom, because narcissists cannot comprehend losing their grip on someone they once controlled. They do not fear you as a person. They fear the loss of power you represent. The fastest path to that outcome is not dramatic or violent. It is quiet, steady, and deeply unsettling for them. Indifference starves the narcissist, and over time, they will retreat to find easier targets. In their world, being forgotten is the ultimate punishment, and being ignored is the ultimate fear. In the end, the most effective way to deal with a narcissist is not to out-argue, out-yell, or out-scheme them. It is to no longer play their game. When you stop giving them the supply they crave, you become untouchable. And in their eyes, untouchable is the most frightening thing of all. Word count 1102.